Empyre Captain America Issue 2 finds Steve and his new Howling Commandos getting ready to launch an ambush on some Kotari in San Antonio, but there is a change of plans as the Kree Skrull Alliance soon attack, even shooting at Cap's team. Steve tells his men the Alliance is there for the Kotari, but they don't seem to be thinking of the human casualties at all. A building nearby soon comes down, so Steve jumps into action, trying to get the tanks to stop firing. When they don't listen, Steve destroys their weapon emplacements, making the Kree and Skrulls confront Captain America, but their leader tells his men to stand down, since Steve is an ally. Steve demands they explain themselves, since the Alliance is supposed to be supporting the humans in the war, not endangering civilians. One Kree says that they came for the Kotari, not to protect livestock, but the Skrulls calm him, saying that today they are all allies, and he comes with dire news, since the most powerful war priest, Shi Quan, is amassing a great army in the south, an army which includes a monstrous giant called the Man of Earth. The Skrulls say that they are advancing on the most populous city in the south, and one of the commandos knows it's Mexico City. Cap contacts General Woodley, who is surprised to hear from him after he disobeyed orders. Steve tells him of the Kotari force moving on Mexico City and the 22 million people who live there, but the general says that it's all under control since the hero was right about needing allies, which is why he's heading to NATO HQ, so Captain America will have his army as soon as possible. The commandos get ready to head south, but Steve tells them that there's something off with the general. The Kree ask how the hero intends to stop the invaders with his pitiful band of men, but Cap tells him that more forces will be joining the battle. The Kree hopes that Captain America is right, since the Kotari will not be allowed to leave Earth, and if Earth forces fail, the Kree will not be so gentle with Earth as Steve would like. Bennett meanwhile continues to struggle with the Kotari inside of him, as later around the fire, the commandos talk about New Mexico, and if any of them have been there. Major Cherry asks why Cap brought them along, since they think an Avenger could do all this by himself. Steve knows that they give him too much credit, telling them the story of the bridge at Benneville, a little town in France during World War II, where he and some demolition teams were going to blow the bridge the Nazis had been using to transport munitions and supplies. However, their intel was false, and the bridge was covered in Nazi machine guns waiting for them. On top of that, they had a weapon specifically for Captain America, which fired a radioactive tar at him, disabling the hero. Despite the demo team taking fire, they charged onto the bridge, with half of them dying to help Cap and take the bridge. Steve says that for every story they hear about him, he's got a story about the men and women who stood beside him and saved his life, like the Howling Commandos are doing right now. Russo is amazed at the story, as the others wonder where Bennett has gotten to. Cherry goes looking for him, soon finding him and other Kotari infected soldiers killing the Skrulls and Kree. Cherry opens fire on them as Cap and the others come to his rescue. The group take down the Kotari, telling the shocked Russo that it wasn't Bennett, and it hasn't been since Arlington. The commandos knew something was off with him, as Cap realizes the same thing happened with the general, demanding he commandeer one of the Kree's fastest ships. At the NATO HQ, the organization meets with General Woodley, who wants to tell them why the most powerful military in the world needs their help to protect their lands while the Kotari are invading their own. The Kotari infected general wonders why the people on Earth would entrust their welfare to a pack of cowards like these people who just bicker and bargain, wondering where their warrior kings and champions are. The leaders are confused by what the general is saying as he and his staff morph into Kotari, spreading out into the room and taking the leaders. Captain America and his team suddenly arrive, battling the monstrous Kotari until nothing is left of them. The leaders are all rescued, shown by Steve the threat they're facing in the Kotari, who can turn microscopic spores into weapons and control their bodies like puppets. He tells them about the threat in Mexico and they need to unite to take down the Man of Earth before he destroys the fault line there. And while Steve is not asking for anything from them, he's telling them to do what is necessary for America to save themselves, since either they fight all today or they all die tomorrow. The Kree and Skrulls are impressed with Steve's speech, knowing that the others will join him. The Kree knows that it won't be enough, and that even with their bombers they lack the firepower to destroy the Man of Earth, but the Kree reassures the Skrull his people have a device that will ensure victory. He says that despite this, they will give the humans one chance to face the Kotari on the ground, but when they inevitably fail, they will rain fire on the city until the Kotari are nothing more but a memory. Empyre Captain America issue 2 continued its cool war story that also continued its critique on the American military machine, and how at times political red tape and bureaucratic bickering can get in the way. I really like how Steve, not one to self-congratulate himself, again reiterates why soldiers he's working with are important, and how despite his status as an Avenger and a super-powered individual, these people are the real heroes and he's just kind of following their example. The looming threat of the Kree-Skrull alliance continues to be teased in a great way, and given what we know thanks to what's happening in the main Empyre book, I wouldn't be surprised if Cap ends up battling them in the next issue of this tie-in. I'm going to give this issue an 8 out of 10.